And welcome to another Pokemon Go video. So jumping into Go Battle League. So I've got a couple matches back to, well, a couple sets of 5 back to back here. And as you can see, currently rank 8. The team I've been using has been Lapras, Muk and Cresselia. So double Legacy Lapras, and then the rest, everything else is fairly standard. So let's jump straight in. So I've got these battles sped up a little bit so we can see how we go. So good lead for me. Well, it's sort of a neutral lead, to be honest. So if I'm able to get the surfs off, it puts me in a good position, but the blast burn's going to do massive amounts of damage, so I decide to shield up the first one, get a little bit of extra energy, and throw the surf. So I'm hoping I can get to their next surf before they can. So that's interesting that they've decided to shield up there. So noticing that potentially they've got something else weak to and then they've double shielded there. So I'll double shield as well, and then hopefully I can get to well, they've managed to Dragon Claw bait me there, so that's really good on their play, but I can get to the next surf before they get to a blast burn. So that will be taking out the Charizard, and let's see what comes out. So it is a Togekiss, so obviously that's really weak to ice as well because of the flying typing. So I went straight up surf there. I don't know whether I could have made it to the ice beam, so I've gone straight into Cresselia now, because obviously the Alolan Muk, so Dark Pulse, and Snarl, both of its dark type moves are going to be doing reduced damage, so I'll get onto the Cresselia. I did want to farm it down, but the charm damage there is just immense, so I went straight for the Future Sight here, do a little bit of extra damage, and as you can see, Future Sight does about 50%, so I fully expect them to probably throw an Earthquake here, because so they'll probably double Hydro Cannon me. They'll be pretty close to a second one, which they are, so double Hydro to take me out, and then it'll be a race here to see if I can get Muk to the Dark Pulse before they get to the Earthquake. I was able to get to the Dark Pulse there, and so that will be good game. So had they got to the Earthquake, that, well, one shots, so that would have been not so good for me. So there's game number 1. Went alright. The matchup at the start was it is favourable for Lapras, but it's not as favourable as you would think, just because of the ice typing, and because it has double ice moves, so the fire will be super effective against ice, and then the water obviously resists, so it's sort of very neutral. The surf really tips it in the favour of the Lapras. So second game, opening up to a Cresselia. So for this one, you always want to throw your charge moves as quickly as possible, because if they do happen to get the debuff here, it's not going to be fun. So they did actually go straight for Future Sight, which is interesting. So for this one, I'm going to try for an Ice Beam, and they managed to get there first, and they've Moon Blasted. So I've gone for the Ice Beam, and we'll see what they do here. And no shield, so a little bit extra damage on that one, but I don't really know if it's worth it, because yeah, but I was able to get to another surf and be able to throw that and take them very, very close. So they've got an attack coming here, and so the question is, do I want to shield this up and try and maintain switch or not? So I did manage to maintain switch, and then out comes the Obstagoon. So Obstagoon is really, really bad for me. Yeah, it is a big weakness. So there's been a whole bunch of, everybody's probably seen all the YouTubers talking about the new Galarian forms, and so Obstagoon is coming out more and more, and it's, yeah, so not great for me. And especially when they've got the shield advantage, which they do have in this stage. So it gets to its Night Slashes really, really quickly, and they're going to do a lot of damage with the 10% chance to buff. And I wasn't able to get a debuff on either of those. So Night Slash comes through, so it doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but it is very spammy. And it is super effective, so it does manage to take me out pretty quickly. And they've swapped there perfectly on the charge move. And let's see what comes out. So they've swapped there. They've burnt their burnt all that energy onto the Cresselia, so that's really unfortunate, and managed to so really my only chance here was to land that Moonblast, which they swapped out of, and did a really good job there. So that's put me in a really tough spot. So what I will do is Gunk Shot here, because Gunk Shot's going to be more effective because it's dark and normal typing, and then that also, as you can see, does quite a lot of damage. So the worry is here, lots of these, so it's got Cross Chop, and now it's swapped into the Giratina. So the Giratina was able to get to the move first, which is also really, really bad. Had I been able to get to my Dark Pulse, would have been different, but they use switching really, really effectively to burn that energy. So that's something you've really got to watch. So the switch out to burn that energy burn the charge move into their own Cresselia that was wounded, won them the match there. So yeah, really, really frustrating, but really good play on their part. So again, I've got another Charizard on the lead. So this one, obviously, a neutral match, but then they've decided to switch out. I'm going to switch as well. So the worry is here that they're running Superpower. To be honest, not that many people run Superpower on... I've not seen too many Superpower using Snorlaxes, so that's not too bad. And the reason to swap into the Alolan Muk rather than the Cresselia is because that Lick damage. So Lick is going to be super effective against Cresselia, and it's really going to add up fast. So, and it will be resisted. So it'll only be the body slam spam that does huge amounts of damage to the Alolan Muk. So for now, I'm going to throw up another shield because I want to try and farm this down. I'm hoping I can get there before a move, and before a charge move, and I do. So that gets me a bit of energy. And unfortunately, a Poliwrath has come out, and I threw in a Dark Pulse. I really should have thrown in the Gunk Shot, but they shielded it up anyway, so absolutely fine with that. So out comes the Cresselia, and let's see what they do. So the Ice Punch, I fully expect them to switch out of this because it is a very... it's not a favourable matchup for them. I wait an extra move and then throw, but they've managed to switch out into it to waste all that energy. So now I'm going to go into the Lapras and just throw straight up Surfs. I do expect to get the shield if I can manage to survive. So here I don't use a shield, and the reason for that is because, I overfarmed and used the shield. Should have just thrown the should have just thrown the charge move straight away, but I overfarmed, and that cost me a shield here. So that's really, really not good. And then again, going for the Ice Beam, and wasn't able to get there. Should have just thrown the should have 100% just thrown the Surf there to get a little bit of chip damage. So now it is a race, no shields, and let's see who can get there first. So really good matchup for me, and we'll be able to take this one fairly comfortably. So the Ice Punch damage does do a lot of, it's very, very spammy, so it does a lot of chip damage, but able to get the Future Sight, and Future Sight one-shot it, so happy days. So got the win there on that one. So leading with the Charizards against the Lapras, although it's sort of fairly neutral, that Surf damage is probably the difference. So that Water type Surf move, so you definitely need that second move. Now this one, it's not a good matchup for me, although it's I'm also doing super effective damage to it. I did try and swap and get out of there, but didn't quite get it in time. The Razor Leaf damage just does so much damage to me, so we'll throw this Surf. I fully expect to get a shield here. I know it's going to be resisted, but it doesn't really matter. Victory Bell is fairly weak, so it would probably take it out. So I've managed to get 2 shields here, but there are going to going to be able to fast move farm me down. So for this, I'll bring out the Alolan Muk just because it will resist the charge moves of Victory Bell, and that will allow me to hopefully, and I'm going to try and farm it down there, which I do manage to do. So I'm one shield up, and then I've bring out the Venusaur here, and I throw the Gunk Shot straight away, which takes out a huge amount of damage. So I've swapped into the Cresselia here onto on their charge move, and then out comes the Shiftry, and it gets to its charge move very, very quickly. So they are able to get to the Leaf Blade, and so they correctly baited me there rather than using the slightly more aggressive Dark move, and then I managed to get the debuff there. So this one is going to be, obviously, shields are down, they're going to throw their Foul Play, and that does a lot of damage. So I'm just really trying to farm this down, but they managed to get to, well, charge this down, trying to throw my energy as soon as possible, but they get to another charge move before me. So now I throw my energy, which is probably not a good idea, and able to take it out. I should have just fast move farmed it down, and then the get to the Dark Pulse and over tap again, and wasn't able to, well, lost the CMP tie there, and then they take me out. So that was a lot of CMP tie losses there. So lost the CMP on the Shiftry, lost the CMP on the Venusaur as well. So I'm not sure whether that was over tapping or just a straight up CMP tie and loss. So swapping in, and we've got Obstagoon on the lead, which is just horrendous for me. So I'm fully expecting this to be a, yeah, and it was a Dark Pulse. So that's Night Slash, sorry. So that was really good shield baiting there. And then I'm just going to have to throw as many Surfs as I can, as quickly as I can. So I'm not going to shield this one up, fully expecting it to be another Night Slash, which it is, and so the Night Slash doesn't do too much damage. So over tapping here for some reason, and throwing the Ice Beam. So this is probably the wrong move to make, and it is because they shielded that up. So should have just gone straight up Surf. Yeah, so should have 100% just gone straight up Surf, and they were able to throw their energy and get me down to farming range. So they managed to farm me down, which is just perfect on their part, and to build up a little bit of energy to be able to throw a Night Slash fairly quickly on my Cresselia as it came out. So get to energy and throw that straight away. So I didn't over farm at all there, but I mean, they shielded it anyway. I did get the debuff, so pretty happy with that. Which means this Night Slash that's coming through will be a little bit weaker. So we're at 0 shields apiece, and now they've decided to swap out. So I'm going to go straight up Future Sight here, and we'll see how this goes. So Future Sight takes off just over 50% of its health, and I'm going to go straight for another one, and I was able to get there before, before they got to throw one charge move. So they're going to come back out with their Obstagoon, which is fine. It's got its debuff removed now, so it is doing, the Night Slashes will do more damage, and as you can see, the Night Slashes almost take me out, and I've just committed to throw the energy straight away, and it'll all come down to what is their last Pokemon in the back, and it is a Swampert, which really isn't good for me. They're able to get to their charge move before me, and as you can see, Earthquake just one-shots the Swampert, so really bad matchup for me in the back there, and then I'm obviously not going to be able to get there, and then they get to another charge move before I can power up and, well, get to one of my own. So just a really bad match for me in the end. Yeah, so not ideal. So as you can see, when that match happened, I swapped straight out because didn't want them to farm up any energy on me. So jumping into the next one, and we've got a Scissor on the lead. So this one's an interesting one. It's going to resist my fast move because of the steel typing, and so obviously this one's straight up Surfs. So that's what I need to do. So we'll see how this goes. So again, not going to shield this up. Iron Head does neutral damage, and then I'll just throw straight into the next Surf. So I think if they shield, I will do the same. Let's find out. We'll see how close I am to this. So I will match the shield here because I would like to win switch advantage. So let's see what happens. So able to get to the next one. And they, let's just throw that, and they've let that go down. So let's see what comes out now. So now we've got a Togekiss. So that ice damage did add up a little bit, and I've swapped straight into the Cresselia because obviously you can't. Well, you can, but going against the Togekiss with shields against the Alolan Muk is not a good idea. So straight into the Moonblast there. They did shield that one up, and as you can see, that charm damage is just immense. So the charm damage on that Togekiss is throwing out is absolutely huge. So I'm going to try and farm this down. Do I use a shield? So I've committed my last shield there, so we're on equal shields, and I'm trying to farm this down, but the charm damage is just too much, so I have to throw that energy. So it's a bit of a waste, to be completely honest, and let's see what comes out in the back. So they managed to take that out. But we've got an Alolan Muk versus a Giratina, which is really good for me, no shield. So the only problem there is that it is a Dragon Breath. So the Dragon Breath Giratina will do a lot more damage to me, and so this one gets, as you can see, really close. So the Dragon Breath, so I've just got to get to another Dragon Pulse, which I do manage to do, and then that will be good game. But as you can see, just a tiny little bit of health on that Alolan Muk. The Dragon Breath does do a lot more damage there. So we'll jump into the next one. So again, still running my same line, and we'll see how we go. So waiting for this battle to happen. So again, lead with the Alolan, with the Lapras into the Alolan Muk. So this is a bit of an interesting one. So for this, I don't really know how I would generally play it. So usually if it's neutral damage, I'll just throw Surfs when the shields are equal, and they've gone straight for the Sludge Wave there, which does a lot of damage, as you can see. So I'm overcharging a little bit, which puts me at a disadvantage there. So I've got to shield this second one up, and it is the Dark Pulse, so not going to do as much damage. And then they've swapped out here. So I've gone for the Ice Beam here, and they've shielded that up, obviously, and then they've taken me out. So not ideal. So what I probably should have done there is swapped straight out as well. And then because I know that the first one is a Alolan Muk, so this is a real big error on my part here. So I should have swapped into Cresselia there. And so instantly when they swapped in with their Venusaur, I should have just gone straight into Cresselia, not thrown the energy on the Lapras. But that's my fault. And then again, the other reason I should have gone in with Cresselia is because it's super weak to the Alolan Muk. So out comes the Alolan Muk again. And now I've got a almost dead Alolan Muk myself, and a Cresselia in the back, which is going to be super weak to the Alolan Muk. So even though it's only going to get a few moves in, if it gets to a charge move, which it does because I've tried to farm it down and it just didn't work, I'm going to have to burn a shield, and then let's see what's in the back. And chances are it's going to be, yep, good old Registeel. So had I used the Cresselia there instead of the Alolan Muk, obviously that would have given me a much better chance, especially in the end. So having that Focus Blast on so I got a double debuff there, so I'm thinking maybe I stand a chance, but all of its moves are resisted. So every move that Cresselia throws is resisted by the Registeel. So it's just, an absolute uphill battle. And it can just spam those flash cannons, and the flash cannon damage is just going to be too much to get the win. So I didn't think quickly enough when they switched out, and I definitely even though throwing the energy into the Ice Beam into the Venusaur wasn't the worst move. So I think the one thing that really lost me this game was when the Lapras went down. I swapped into the Alolan Muk instead of swapping into the Cresselia. So that's the big play there. So that's what I should have done, and that would have potentially meant a different game. So, well, different outcome. So let's jump into the next one. So for this one, I don't know, this was a bit of a surprise for me. So leading with an Aggron. So again, it's going to be Steel type. So just throw straight into those Surfs. And for this one, I'm a bit worried about what this charge move is going to be. So I shielded up because I wasn't sure whether it was going to be the Stone Edge, because I think Aggron gets access to Stone Edge. So that's why I did shield that one up. It got there pretty quick to that charge move, so I just need to try and sort of figure that out. So for this one, no shield. I think it is the Heavy Slam, so absolutely fine. So I go one over and then throw into, so one quick move, extra to build just that little bit of extra energy, and then throw it straight there. So let's see what comes out next. So we've got the Swampert out next, and I really want to get to another Surf, which I was able to do. So it's going to have to throw energy here to take me out, which is absolutely fine. I'll let this go and then swap into the Cresselia to try and unfortunately it didn't take me out, so got to farm up a little bit of extra energy. So as you can see, that thing absolutely hammered to get to charge moves, and just straight into the charge move there. So over farmed a little bit, well, for one extra move there, and then through the Moon Blast. So I did get a shield here, which is interesting. So the question is, and then they threw their own Togekiss out. So they swapped that up. So they've got lots of energy on that Swampert, which I should remember. I say should remember. I don't. So if this is the game I'm thinking of, so I've tried to just throw the Dark Pulse there. The question is, do I shield? No. So Flamethrower is going to do a lot of damage. And then I've thrown the Dark Pulse, which is again probably questionable, because if I had have just charged up a few extra moves, I could have thrown straight into the... so anyway, so go for the farm down here, really close, and then I've got the Future Sight saved up and throw straight into the Future Sight, which manages to KO, and I managed to win that with an extra shield. So a very, very close game, which probably didn't need to be. Had I just charged up that little bit of extra energy on the Alolan Muk, I could have thrown the Gunk Shot and one shot of taken out the rest of the damage on the Togekiss there. So there was a bit of misplay by me, but lucky to get away with it. So again, this is sort of another one of those neutral sort of leads. My ice moves are doing a whole lot of damage, but it can get to its Frenzy Plant very, very quickly, and that does a lot of damage. So for this one, charge up to an Ice Beam, and then I throw a Surf to try and get the shield. So I usually do get the shield, and then they've thrown into another Frenzy Plant. So for this one, I think this is the game that I make a huge, huge mistake. I throw my Surf here, and let's see if we get their second shield. So we do get the second shield, and then I'm really going for the Surf, and so this isn't the one that I made a huge mistake, and threw that straight away, so we're able to do the damage there. So actually it is the one that I made a huge mistake. So instead of letting the Venusaur win, I swapped that out, and so now it's versing a Swampert. They get the Hydro Cannon off, which is not ideal for me, because it does take out a whole lot of health. So had I not swapped out and switch locked my Muk, I could have just swapped out and just let the and instead I'm left with a Lapras that's got half health, and then they're just going to, let's see if they Earthquake this. They do, and that got Earthquakes at not quite to KO range, and then they're able to farm up a little bit of extra energy. So that the big mistake here, so I thought the mistake was going to be my over farming, but my mistake was swapping out the Lapras. I should have just let it go straight down, and then they switch into their own fairy here, so Clefable's out. And as you can see, that charm damage is just immense, so I have to throw my energy straight away, and then there's no way I can get to my charge moves before this Swampert comes out and throws their own. Yeah, so that's GG right there, because they're going to KO with that. So that swap was not good, and sort of did cost me. I should have just let the Lapras go down, as it turned out. But you also obviously never know what's in the back, so not the best idea there to switch lock something in. So for this one, I don't know what this has, so I'm just trying to figure it out. So Zangoose is a pretty uncommon one. I know it has got fighting moves, but it threw the close combat and then switched straight out. So that sort of gives me a chance, because potentially my Cresselia can come in and do some damage here, but it's really dependent on what happens. So that letting that close combat through was a real big mistake of mine. Had I been able to shield that up, possibly I would have been, well, not possibly, 100% would be in a better position right now. So I'm going to have to try and take out this Poliwrath. Obviously everything that I throw is super effective, and it's going to be spamming its Ice Punch at me, so not ideal. And I'm thinking about farming, I think just a little bit too long, and they get to another charge move. I really want to farm up, but I just farm for far too long, and then they get to another Ice Punch, so they've then swapped out into the Zangoose, which is going to be doing super effective damage because of its fast move. So then they've managed to I do instantly swap. I got the debuff and then throw the Surf straight away to do some extra damage. So they use the Night Slash and it does barely anything, and then I'm able to get to another Surf. So let's see if they want to shield this one up. They may do, and they don't. So, and now I'm fully expecting, and it's a Meganium, so that's an interesting one. So I wasn't expecting a Meganium, not in Ultra League, but for this one I bring out the Alolan Muk. I'm worried about the Earthquake here, and it is the Earthquake, so really happy I shielded that up. And then I've swapped out and I threw my energy, so that's really frustrating. So really brilliant swap, and I knew it was coming, and then I've thrown my energy. So for this one I'm going to swap out and try and catch theirs, and instead I do catch theirs, but I didn't actually realize how close to a charge move I was, and then I throw my swap back into the Alolan Muk and throw the trash can at it. I forgot they had a shield in the back, and this is good game. So had I swapped out a fraction earlier with the Cresselia, being able to throw the move there, or stayed in with the Alolan Muk and thrown the Gunk Shot, it might have been a different outcome there. So really frustrating that I completely forgot that they had another shield, but I mean, it is what it is. So didn't go too flash in either of those, to be honest. Made a lot of mistakes, and that's something that I've got to work on, but that's how my Lapras is working out. So there's a fair few Obstagoons coming through now, and the Galarian stuff. So I really need to watch that, and I think it's time. Well, if Go Battle League ever opens up again, because at the moment it's shut down. They're fixing the glitch that people have been using, so once that's fixed and they reopen Go Battle League, might have to switch up my team a little bit for something that can counter those fighting types a little bit more. But that's it for now, so hopefully that was useful. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.